Yes, Deputy Martin, we've just been to a scrutiny meeting. You are the Assistant Minister at Health, with particular responsibilities for the implementation of the Williamson report on children's services. I was listening to the discussion today. They were looking at overall cost restraints on the health department, and I was very worried that the grand plan for Williamson was going to be difficult to achieve within economic restraints. Are you happy that you can achieve what Williamson requires?
Yes, because Williamson is still in there. That's the extra monies of the 12.8 million. Williamson has been funded. And there is two parts weren't funded, and that was the Lord Laming compliance on social workers, which scrutiny actually agree at the moment is possibly not too much of a problem for Jersey, and the advocacy for children. Now that is one thing that Deputy Savins already got an amendment for. I've asked the new chair of the JCPC to look at and have more discussions with Andrew. I do think that is a very big part. It's not that expensive, just an independent advocacy service for children who are in care to go to.
When you say the cost, are you talking about the setting up cost or the annual running cost?
It's the revenue cost more than anything. Yeah.
So per annum, what's it going to cost to have this?
The advocacy, I think it's...
The whole thing, the whole package, the whole Williamson package per annum, what do you reckon it's going to cost?
Well, we've been given 3.9 million, and that's over the first 3 to 4 years to spend.
Right.
And that will then be reoccurring, whatever, dividing that down by 4, so it will be reoccurring. And don't forget also, that's not just... There'll be others, as X comes on, with Williamson described a different way of doing things. Right. And the big part of Williamson is looking, you probably heard me in scrutiny, is looking at who's doing what in Jersey for children now. Charities, voluntary sectors.
That was one of the things about Williamson, which again worries me. You've got the official bodies like health, housing, social security, the courts, police, all these various education, all these different departments. To have one coordinating head, a minister for children was out of the question, you can't have another minister, but a commissioner for children, so gather is the sort of term they were using. Yeah. Is that still the plan, that there'll be one person, ultimately one department, one office, ultimately in charge of all children's activities?
Well, everyone who comes under health and social services care is ultimately, there is one minister, and that is my minister, Deputy Pryke. Obviously, there are certain bits that once they're taken out of our care, if they're in the court system or the education system, which we still have to work closely. What has been apparent under Williamson is the reporting to 3 ministers working together, because then there wasn't a clear accountability.
What I also heard, or didn't hear today, was the mention of the magic words, the United Nations Convention on Rights of the Child. Mm-hmm. Now, the states have agreed that that shall be implemented, and the employment law for children is already dealing with that, getting that as the first stage in order that we can ratify that convention, which is about 25 years before every other civilised country. But again, I was worried listening today that the full implications of ratifying that and implementing that convention is going to be way beyond Williamson. Are you quite sure that the Williamson structure will be capable of dealing with the Convention on Rights of the Child?
What I'm doing under health is what I need to do, and everyone has signed up to it. I don't think Williamson per se, just on its own, will be able to let Jersey completely sign up to the rights of the convention, because there's many other departments who need to do things. But Williamson was tasked with to look into children's services in Jersey, and that's what he did. The scrutiny report went a lot further and has identified certain, especially areas between the ages of 18 and 25, which we really need to look at.
But the failures which have been so evident in the past few years, without Gagarin and all the rest of it, the failures are multi-agency failures. They need an incredible coordinating body, which is what I thought Williamson was going to do, but certainly it's what the Convention on the Rights of the Child will require, that there is a coordinating single body to bring all these various agencies together so they work for the same aims.
Yeah.
But that doesn't sound like what the health department is planning.
It is, because the first piece of work Williamson, and we've got NSSPCC lined up to do this work. They've been ready to go. The funding is in Williamson. That's the first piece of work, to go out, find out what's being done, and coordinate, and under JCPC make sure that every single one is adhering to all the checks and balances that you need to be having if you're working or related to children under any service. No get-outs.
One of the departments that you're going to have to coordinate with is the Home Affairs Department. And already they've virtually abandoned anti-discrimination legislation because they haven't got funds right. Now, of course, you can't have a Convention on the Rights of the Child without anti-discrimination. It's just the two work together. So if there is no anti-discrimination legislation in Jersey, the Convention on the Rights of the Child will be, to a large extent, rendered meaningless. Now, unless the Health Department has taken that on board, it seems to me that we're doomed to failure on this.
Well, both the Home Affairs Minister and the Assistant Minister voted yes on the signing up to the convention in the States. Now, if Health are doing their bit and everyone else is doing their bit, if Home Affairs are not doing their bit, you will have to speak to Home Affairs, and we will have to try and. I think they've got the money. They may not be spending it on discrimination laws.
But if that's the situation, that departments are being told to cut back, as we were hearing today, that you can't even afford to provide existing services, and if the children's services are going to have to extend and expand to the degree that the Convention on the Rights of the Child will require, even Williamson will require, I can't see how on earth we're going to have the money that's available. You say it's been voted, but you've already got a shortfall this year of £2 million, which you don't know where you're going to find to provide existing services. So how on earth you're going to add on and get our Treasury Department to agree that you should have extra money for services which don't exist? Are you quite sure you can get that money?
It's already in the business plan.
Well, so was the Millennium Park, but these things have a habit of disappearing, don't they?
I didn't ever see that in the business
Well,
plan.
because it was the funding we were reassured.
I agree. I mean,
the funding was there, we were reassured it was there,
yeah.
and this is what happens all of a sudden, the funding isn't there with
Yeah.
it. This is what happens.
Yeah.
So if I can only repeat what I'm saying, it seems to me you've got a rather small agenda under Williamson, which is going to be an even greater agenda if we're serious about the Convention on the Rights of the Child, and I can't see how it's going to be funded.
Yeah, well, I'm absolutely confident that we will get, especially with the scrutiny report, we'll get all the money for Williamson, and it'll be 50 steps forward to where we are now today, at least. And we won't get it if we don't do anything. We won't get anybody, we will not be able to sign up.
Okay, just one final question. We were sitting there for an hour and a half today. It was a scrutiny meeting. Some people are rather worried about the purposes of scrutiny. We had 5 States members, 3 senior civil servants, 2 scrutiny officers. Was it a worthwhile exercise for 1.5 hours to occupy all those people's time?
Well, as Senator Brecken said at the beginning, it's not been an ideal time. I think if they'd had more time, Anne's been away all week. They wanted to ask questions. I think they had the questions answered. I can't really say any more than that.
But I was trying to, in a more general sense, do you think scrutiny is cost effective?
Yes, I do, and I worked 3 years in scrutiny, and I think now I'm working from this side of it. We didn't just walk in there today and think, oh, we've got to answer these questions. We've been working on these responses since we've had the questions, going through, wanting to work with scrutiny, and I have great respect, and I'm listening now to people who are in the ministry or in the government or whatever they want to call it, the different from scrutiny and ministry. I think that a good scrutiny report and good scrutiny is very, very respected by all the ministers.
Okay, thanks very much indeed.